Now, first off, let me say I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee. He's done an incredible amount for martial arts in general. There'd be no mixed martial arts without Bruce. He certainly popularized Eastern martial arts of the West. There'd be no UFC. However, when it comes to Wing Chun, Bruce seems to have missed out on something. As if he got what Wing Chun was really about, he never would have left and started Jeet Kune Do, because Jeet Kune Do is actually sort of where Wing Chun heads if you learn it properly from a proper master. And I know that he went to Ip Man's school, but at that time Ip Man was an old opium addict on the way out, and he hung out with Wan Shun Lung and William Chung. He hung out with William Chung because William Chung's daddy was the chief of police and could get them out of trouble when they got in their street brawls. And I don't want to cast any shade on Wan Shun Lung, but he didn't really need Wing Chun because he was already a pretty accomplished brawler as it was. But one of the things you learn when you learn Wing Chun in the proper school is that girls learn it faster. The basics, anyway. They get the basic idea faster because they're not using muscle. The whole point of Wing Chun is it's what's called internal internal Kung Fu, which means it's not about the musculature, it's about the skeletal structure and using the body as an integrated unit. So the mistake a lot of rubbish Wing Chun schools make. Now, Bruce missed out because the greatest student of Wing Chun ever was there at the time he was there. He was the senior student. He was my master's master, Xu Shung Tin. And after I finished the instructor's course at the International Wing Chun Academy, many of my contemporaries went to live with Sigung before he died. And over the next 10 years, they got it down to a science. And all of these concepts that were beyond the language we had available have now become something that can be taught easily. And Chu was a one of a kind. And Ip Man even took out an ad in the paper to say that Chu Shung Tin is the master of the Sinum Tao and has exceeded anything I could teach him. And that was true. And now, thanks to this group, a lot of Jim's students, particularly Nima King, John Kogan, and that select group that went there towards the end of Chu's life, have got the principles down into something that can be taught. So if you've learned rubbish Wing Chun from someone who calls himself a Sifu, but doesn't have what we call Nim Tao, or the thought force, sounds a little woo-woo, but don't know what to tell you. Like I said, these concepts were beyond the language at the time, and still takes quite a bit of effort to bring out the true magic of what it is we've learned. As a result, there's a lot of rubbish Wing Chun out there giving us a bad name. But if you can get your hands on a master from the CST lineage, you can learn something that's light years beyond anything else you've ever experienced. And if you study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or kickboxing, Wing Chun can still help you make more of what it is you already do, simply by learning how to integrate your body as a more effective, efficient machine, using the skeletal structure and the ligatures, the tendons, and not the muscular strength, which is why, if you learn it properly, you can beat larger and stronger opponents with very little effort, because you're effectively letting them use force against a perfect spring and a perfect hinge and a perfect sphere, backed up by a triangular geometry, which is very strong. It's smart, it's scientific, the center line, the follow-up, the chain punching, the use of 3 weapons at a time. It's unbeatable. It's completely unbeatable. I honestly think that Eddie Bravo's rubber guard is pretty close to what it is that we learn in a true internal Wing Chun style from CST. And Musashi even talks about Chinese monkey body and sticking with your sword to the opponent. Well, this is Chisao. This is the essence. The forms that we learn are not replicating fighting like when you're in a karate school. I studied karate and taekwondo for many years before I joined Wing Chun. I also studied katana briefly. So I can tell you that these things do enhance the other styles you might learn and will allow you to rely less on strength and more on your actual anatomy to get the most out of your anatomy, which you've been socialized out of from birth. You know, people think that effort involves grunting and straining the muscles, when the muscles are the brakes on the machine that is your body. They're not the engine. They're not even a hydraulic power system. They're the brakes. Force equals mass times acceleration. So you want to turn the brakes off to maximize your force. Otherwise, hit the gym and increase your mass. You know, not great for little ladies. They don't want to walk around trying to be the Incredible Hulk. I've seen a lot of terrible videos of women powerlifting and failing and destroying their legs, etc. No, the real secret to Wing Chun is to master this internal side. And a lot of Kung Fu schools have mystical approach to internal Wing Chun, when really it's just about properly integrating the body and allowing it to deal with the incoming force in a way that no other style seems to have. I have shopped around. So, if you think Wing Chun's rubbish, think again. Track down somebody from the CST lineage who talks about Nim Tao, who talks about why the first form is the most important, and understand that what Bruce was going for with the Jeet Kune Do was actually where Wing Chun goes. Once you've got this cultivation of the internal side, you don't stick to the form. You don't fight in the stance that you practice the form in. It's flowing and free, like a boxer, like a Muay Thai fighter, like a Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. But it has this internal mechanic that allows for incoming force to be shed in the 7 ways we shed force, which I can't recall all off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've hit the textbooks. But yeah, until you've dealt with somebody from the CST lineage's teaching, don't be so quick to write Wing Chun off. You know, I know a number of people who gave up whatever else they were doing to dedicate their lives to this art, because it really is worth preserving and spreading. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that. If you're in Sydney, check out Sifu John Kogan at Wan Tao Kung Fu Academy. I also hear good things about Ka Ming. If you're in Hong Kong, seek out Nima King. Oh, of course, my teacher, Mark Spence of the Chi Sao Club. Underrated. Don't sleep on Spence. There's many other people out there, so check it out.